What's up, guys? How's it going? So, I had somebody ask me about this one particular subject matter, which is, well, okay, I got Gen 4 heroes. What do I do? Which ones do I get? What do? Okay, so you've got Reyna. You have your buddy pal. Oh, Lord. Hold on. Sorry about that. All right, so, and then you got Amos, right? And then, of course, you have Lyn. Okay, now if you're wondering which one should I prioritize and why, this is going to be kind of, I don't know. I feel like you kind of have to go off of the seat of your pants on this one, right? That is to say, it depends on what it is you aim to get out of it. If you're wanting, the best Gen 4 heroes, right? All Gen 4 is better than Gen 3. All Gen 3 is better than Gen 2. So the logic is always going to be get the highest tier possible, right? But in terms of what their value is, right? She's the replacement for Defender Troop Lethality, which you may remember is not available until you go all the way back to only a couple of heroes, like Molly, as you may remember. So in a way, she's kind of the replacement for Molly, almost 2 generations later. So Lyn is the replacement for Molly in a sense. So if you've got Molly, Lyn is your replacement. But the funny thing is you might be thinking, but wait a minute, Lyn's marksman, not lancer. And you're right. So that changes things quite a bit, doesn't it? Because now that means I can get Defender Troop Lethality and not 1, but 2 heroes now. So I get not 1, but 2 heroes with Defender Troop Lethality. So instead of getting 15%, I get 30% when it's fully maxed out. Now you kind of understand what the exclusive gears are for, and also kind of what their role is. So you might be thinking then, well, then what is Amos? What does he do for me? Well, of course, he's got the Unyielding Determination skill, where he gives you Defender Troop Health. And once again, that sounds familiar. Defender Troop Health. I wonder where else we've seen that. Oh, right. Yeah, that's right. You might have remembered Philly had that. So you could pair Philly together with Amos, and you would be getting, get this, 30% Defender Troop Health. You might imagine that could produce some pretty interesting combinations then, wouldn't it? So that's another thing to consider. And then, of course, you have Reyna, who, yes, I know this might sound weird, but not even I've got Reyna. And the problem is getting Reyna is not an easy feat. Because as you might imagine, in order to get Reyna, you have to go through this wonderful thing I like to call spending. And by spending, I mean like you've got to acquire her through the old wonderful event that requires you to spend tickets on the Hall of Heroes to get her. And that's kind of, well, nothing short of shitty. But I'll just demonstrate how expensive this actually is. I want to get a single medal. That'll be 1. So I need 9 more of those. How many more does it take? Well, quite a few you'd expect. So if I'm going to do this, it's going to take all 71 of my... Holy, what the heck? You mean to tell me to get 7 medals, I'm spending 10,000 gems. And you'd be right. So then you have to spend. And thus, now you know what it takes to get Reyna. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but does that make Reyna worth it then, right? And yeah, Reyna is good. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing I can say badly about Reyna. Reyna is a good hero, just like any of the sets of heroes that are available. The problem obviously comes down to what exactly do you want to use Reyna for? And just like any of the other heroes, they all have better bonuses, they all have better stats. That is to say that when they're maxed out, their Lancer attack is going to be substantially better. And so by and large, if you can get Gen 4, great. But if you can't, and you are in a situation where feeling like me, where you know that you're not going to have enough gems, not enough mythic shards to fully upgrade them, and not enough money, for that matter, to get them all the way upgraded, then don't sweat getting a Gen 4 all the way max. Because I think, personally, Gen 5 is the better deal. Because by Gen 5, things turn up a notch or 2. But by Gen 4, it's, there's obviously some patterns being developed here. So, with that said, right, I think you should totally get Reyna, you should totally get Lyn, And if you can get almost, great. But in terms of what you should be focusing on, it's ultimately going to come down to availability, right? That is to say, you can get Lyn through Lucky Spinner, you can get Amos through what is effectively the Hall of Chiefs or King of Icefield, and then you can get Reyna, being the most kind of difficult one to get, through the Hall of Heroes. And so in terms of expense, Reyna's going to be a little bit on the higher side. In terms of free-to-play, Lyn is going to be the cheaper side of that. Hall of Heroes is going to be the somewhat difficult one, right? But Amos is going to be this midway in between. And so in terms of expense, I would think most people are going to be able to get Lyn pretty fairly easy in comparison to the other two. Reyna's going to be the more pay-to-win, that's that route, right? But ultimately, in terms of hero value, in terms of what you gain from them, those are all obvious things. The generation is always going to be a big key factor into it going into the future. In terms of what you get with Reyna's, and say I can't show you, but I would like to, is the actual skill she has. And I believe it is, to my knowledge, I think it's a rally skill, but I can't remember if it's... I don't remember exactly whether it's attack or if it's... I think it's attack, but I could be wrong. And someone will quote me later. I'm not going to tell you because I'm not going to worry about it myself personally. Not a good video. I'm sorry. If that's what you're going to complain about, go to the Discord, quit being lazy, and go to the guide section and look this up because it's there, okay? Thank you. All that said, that is pretty much everything you need to know as far as the Gen 4 heroes are concerned. Hopefully this was somewhat insightful for you, and have a wonderful day. See you guys to the next video.